Hello, welcome to CMS Training for the stamp.umb.edu. I'm Donald Heidenblatt. I'm the Web Services Coordinator for the stamp, and I guess we'll get started. Um, the first thing to go over is what is a CMS? CMS is a tool for um, allowing non-technical users to update their own content without having to call for help. Um, Although we definitely recommend that you do if you get stuck. Some of the popular options are WordPress, and I think you might be familiar with Blogger, but we didn't choose those. We chose .NET Nuke, and the reason why is because it has commercial backing, and it's one of the largest um, companies providing a CMS. So we actually get to call them and ask for help when we have problems. The other neat thing is that I stole this slide from them, but if you look in the lower right-hand corner, somebody else on campus is using it. So we're not the only ones to make this decision. While this does put a lot of control in your hands, you're still going to need to fill out a web request form in certain situations. Hello. The first situation is if you have a sign-up or registration form. Those do not live on the CMS, and so you'll still have to fill out a registration form for that. And then if you need a new page to be created, and there's a very specific reason for this, we have to set up permissions to allow you to be able to edit that page and for people to view it. So we need to do that. And then if you want something to be on the main page, because um, currently we're only web services and marketing can control content on that. And the other reason is if you want to do something fancy. There's a lot of very smart people in this building with a lot of great ideas, and sometimes your technical skills won't quite meet up to your expectations, and we're always glad to help in that case. So I'm going to dive into just editing content. Let me switch to the browser. You should be familiar with this page, hopefully. The first thing you're going to need to do to edit content is to log in. And the trick is finding the login button. Because it's not for everyone to use, just stamp people, it's kind of hidden. So it's at the very bottom of the page in the footer next to technology services. You click login, and you will get a login from us after taking this class, and hopefully I remember my password. Great. So that's the most important thing. The next big thing is a couple of very important concepts before you get started. There's this idea called a content pane and another called a module. Content panes are simply where you can put content on the page. You can see here there's one actually named content pane, and then there's one named left column and one named right column. And all those do are allow you to put modules, which are where content actually is entered, into various places on the page so that you can get the look that you're wanting. A secondary page, like technology services, will typically only have one content pane. And when you go to add a module, it will generally default to the one named content pane. So you might see that I'm changing things up in this top corner, and that's actually the view mode. But the most important thing to note is this gray bar here. It is called the action bar, and this is where all of the tools that you will typically need to control the page. And it's really easy for you because you only have one option, and that's to add a module to the page. And that module is called the HTML Pro module. That's where you can put any of your text or photos that you want to advertise your program. So I will call this test module, and I will add it to the page. And you'll see that it appeared at the bottom of the page. Typically, you're going to be editing content a lot more than you'll be adding content. And in that case, you'll see that when you mouse over the Manage button, this menu pops up, and you just go to Edit Content. And you'll get an editor that looks a lot like Word, with options for bolding content, putting lists, indenting content. And the nice thing is that from this drop-down menu, everything you pick here will end up looking consistent across the website. So you don't have to worry about knowing too much, although if you want to get fancy, there is definitely opportunities for that. So let me add some content. Title. Format it. And then, so once you've updated your content, you can save it, and you'll be able to view it at the bottom where it's on the page and see your changes. But if you weren't logged in, you won't be able to because it's not published yet. And so if you want to see what it looks like to a non-logged in user, you can go up into this action bar to this mode area and click View. And this is exactly what a typical user to the site will see. And you'll see that that module is missing. The reason why is because we use something called workflow, which allows things to be stored as draft before they're published. So if I actually wanted this to be published to the site so that everyone can see it, I would have to go before clicking Save and check this box that says Publish Changes, and this will allow everyone to see that content. Since I've really powered through, I'm going to stop and ask if anyone has questions. Okay. So the question was, is there a way that the text can be changed other than the default ones? Yes, but because the text is set up to look like all the text everywhere else on the site, there isn't an easy way to do it. And that's just to make it so that everything kind of looks similar. For that kind of thing, you'd actually have to go in to the HTML mode, and this is where things get a little bit more advanced. And you could enter your own CLSS. And technically this should work. And you'll see this text is a little bit bigger. And that's the kind of thing that if you don't feel confident doing that yourself, you can always ask us for help for. All right. Oh, jumped the gun. The other thing you might want to do is say you wanted this content to show up at the top of the page. There's some handy shortcuts for moving these things around. So you go to Manage, and then at the bottom there's the to move. Top, we'll put it at the top of the page. Up, we'll move it up in the sequence. And then there will be bottom and down if we were there. The other options allow it to move between content panes. So if there was multiple panes here, we could move this to another column, or like on the landing pages or our home page, we could put it to be at the top or the bottom of the various places. So now I'm going to show how to add something more exciting than text, specifically an image. So you put the cursor generally where you want the image to show up. Go into up here. It looks like a paperclip, and you click the menu button and hit Insert Media. And you'll see we're in the Images folder, and if you wanted to use an existing photo, you'd be able to select it. Or if you wanted to upload your own, we're in the Text Services area. Go to Test. You click Upload, and then you can go to your documents. Ooh. Voila. Choose your photo, hit Upload, and then you can insert photo. Now you'll see that it is gigantic. It's best if the image is close to the size that you want, so that you're not making your users download the entire huge image. But for the sake of brevity, I will show. You can also kind of fudge the size by coming in here and typing in a width. Now you'll notice I clicked this little chain button here, and what that does is it makes you not have to do math, so that when you change this number, the other number changes in proportion, so you won't get a skewed image that's too, like, people look like they've been squished. And then hit OK. See, it's much smaller. The other thing is that you can also change where the image shows up. So if you actually wanted the text to float around this image, you can come in here and go to Image Alignment, and I'm going to make it show up on the right. Oops. There we are. You'll see I had to actually move it so that it was in line, but now the text will be in line with our friend the koala. Ooh. It's a live demo. Much better. Any questions on that? Yes.
Can you also add images on the image URL?
You can. Oh, yes. So the question was, can you add an image just by putting in the URL? You can, but it's typically best to download it first, because if somebody deletes that image, then you'll end up with having a broken image on your site. And you'll see a couple occasions on our site where we haven't found those yet. And those we've fixed. But if you'll see in the image manager. Oh, I lied. I lied to you. You can, but you'd actually have to go into and actually put in the HTML to put in the image. Now, if you wanted the image to be a link, that you can do here. Actually, that's a good thing to remember. So adding a link, which is something that you'll probably do very often, you highlight the text and you go up to this hyperlink manager. And if it's to an external site, you just copy the link into the URL bar. Or if it's inside of our site, you can pick from the drop-down the site. It automatically populates, and then something is not right. There we are. Hit OK. And now made a link. Great. The other fancy feature that a lot of people have asked for is how to embed a YouTube video. So I'm going to delete our friend the panda. Punch down. Switch over to my slides really quickly so that I can grab my embed code. Go back to the, and then I will show you how to get that embed code, but I've had problems on YouTube finding work appropriate videos, so that's why I had one prepared. As I said, Julia Childs, awesome. All right. So to get the embed code, you go to Share and click on Embed, and you'll see this code here. You just copy and paste it. Well, copy it, then go back to the viewer, and you'll actually have to switch over to the scary HTML view and paste it there. And then when you go back to the design view, you'll see it just has a placeholder here. Hit save. And you'll see the video shows up. That's that. I'm going to switch back to my slides because I mentioned, well, actually first, let me ask if there's any questions on all of that. No questions. Awesome. I mentioned that there's a workflow in place in our CMS. And so the one that's in place currently just allows content to either be a draft state, which means that you can see it while you're working on it, but the public can't, or if you wanted for your department, I could put in approval process, which would allow somebody to update the content, mark that they were done working with that content, and then it would have to go and be reviewed and approved by a manager or supervisor, and then it would get published. No one's taken me up on that offer yet, but it is available. So as I said, this is the one that we have. When you go into edit, you can see what state it is in by looking at the workflow state. If it's draft, that when you go and log out, you won't see those changes. you'll see what was there previously, or if it's a brand new, if this was version 1, you'll see that the module is completely missing. But then once you log in, you'll see that content, and you can come in and actually hit publish, as I showed. The other benefit is that we store up to 10 revisions of that. So if you go in and accidentally make a change that's disastrous, we can recover for you. And that goes with also, if for some reason you deleted a module, or even if a page gets deleted, they end up into a recycling bin, so we can recover from that. Very few changes are non-recoverable, so feel safe in experimenting. I will open up questions again, and then I will tell you how to get help. No? All right. So we have a resources page on SharePoint that I will send out the link to if I'm requesting. But I think it's under IT services, and then it says, actually it says resources. You can submit a web request. Again, that's if you need a new page or changes that you can't figure out by yourself. You can also email Stamp CMS, which goes not only to myself, but it also goes to our GA, Divija Shankar, and Stephanie also. So there's 3 eyes looking for those questions. And then if you want to talk to a person, here's Divija's information at 40210, and she's always glad to assist. So if there's no questions, I'm going to go and talk about what should be coming at some point in the future. If you're online and you don't have a user account, if you email me, well, no, not me, email stampcms@umd.edu with your name and what department you're in, and then we can provide you with user credentials to log in. And then I will respond with directions to the SharePoint page. And I don't think, oh, yes, we will be doing an evaluation of this, particularly for the online portion. And the future should bring domain logins. At this point in time, your computers are probably getting switched over. But after that happens, hopefully we'll have that in the CMS as well, so you really only have one password. We're looking at additional module types like photo galleries or other fancy features for the site. And then we're working on a mobile skin to allow students to view the site more easily in their phones because that's how content is accessed now. And then this slide needs to be updated because this is the online version of the training. And if there's no more questions, that kind of wraps it up.